All right, we are on air. It is Thursday, October 11th, and this is a design meeting for Backdrop CMS. We're going to talk about design and usability focused tasks that we want to get done by the next release. Starting with the Backdrop CMS websites, backdropcms.org, we know needs some user experience improvements for the module themes and layouts pages. The issue for that is number 442 in the backdropcms.org queue. It hasn't gotten any activity in a while. We need someone with time and passion and ability to take a look at that and figure out how we can move that forward. It's been a little stagnant. We know it's important. So anyone who wants to work on it, we would definitely love. We also have an issue for the Backdrop forums. This is forum.backdropcms.org that will clean up the CSS on the code block widget. So this is when you go to create a forum post. If you want to put a code sample in it, there's a drop-down menu and it's not quite wide enough. This is issue number 59 in the forum.backdropcms.org queue. We have some code from Wes in there that isn't working the way I expected to work. Wes said he was going to have some time to take a stab at it. Maybe before Bad Camp, which is in a couple of weeks. So maybe we'll get some movement on that one. If anyone else wants to jump on that, we need someone who knows how to put a JavaScript breakpoint in their browser to figure out what the CSS classes should be for the code we need to add. And once we figure out what it is, we need to figure out where to put it in Backdrop. So if we have a CSS file that goes along with the editor, or if we need to package it somehow in the JavaScript file that goes with the editor, I don't know. It seems like it's rather complicated to fix the width of a dropdown. So we need someone who's a front-end guru to help us with that one. All right, the next issues are related to Backdrop, the product. Nate, these are issues in the Backdrop core queue. Do you want me to run through them or would you like to do them?
Yeah, if you could run through them, that would be appreciated.
Okay. Apologies in advance. My dog is playing with her squeaky toy, so if you hear any squeaking noises, it's not intentional. All right, so the first issue, these are specifically related to usability. The first issue is about making the submit buttons on node forms sticky at the bottom of your browser window. So if you have a really, really long node form, you don't have to scroll for a long time if you're just making a quick edit to something like the title. The issue for that is number 566 in the Backdrop issues queue. We have a pull request there based on some work some others have done. We need some review, not only of the pull request technically, but actually of the feature. Use it. Let us know if you think it's better or worse than what's there now. It sounds like everybody who wants this loves the pull request, but I would love to get some more feedback for people who maybe haven't seen it yet or haven't tried it to see what you think of that behavior generally. The next issue is one of our longest standing issues. This is number issue 37 about cleaning up the usability on the modules page. The current pull request that's there needs review and feedback. What it does is it adds tags to all the modules in core and any contrib modules too. It shows them in the more information section below each module, and it allows you to search by tag. So if you type a tag into the search box, you'll be able to filter that list too. It doesn't do anything other than that at this time. There are no other options on the modules page. All it does is add tags. And this was kind of the first improvement we could all agree on for this modules page. So I think we should get this done first. And then we have follow-up issues for exposing whether the modules are core in contrib or adding select boxes for, or a select option for filtering by tags and all the other stuff, which we haven't gotten consensus on yet. So I think starting here would be really good. I'd love to see that get in before the next major version, or for the next major version. The next issue is issue number 2858 about updating the dependency message. I think I did some work on this one either last week or the week before, where when you're trying to run updates specifically from Drupal 7 to Backdrop, if you've missed an update, we want the system to be able to tell you which module's update was missed. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the update process where it's building this giant array of messages to print out to you. And I was able to rework it last time so that it printed out all of the messages in what I thought was a fairly sensible order, whereas before we were creating a second list of messages only to happen when dependencies weren't met, but it looked like we already had those messages. So I just did a little reworking on the pull request to clean up the code. And I think the user experience is also fairly positive as it is now. And now it doesn't tell you there are no pending updates when your update that was pending has failed, which is a problem that we were having before, where it was like, your pending update has failed. There are no pending updates. And I'm like, that's a little confusing. So that's fixed. So hopefully the new one feels a little bit better to people, but we need to have some review for that one. The next issue is number 1383, and it's about updating the text on the submit button for node forms. So when you go to save a piece of content, it should tell you whether that content is going to be published when you hit that button, going to be saved as a draft when you hit that button, or going to be scheduled when you hit that button. So this first issue does is change the text on the button. We also have some follow-up issues about moving the locations of those options. We have an issue about the next one on the list about separating help ticks. There's a bunch of stuff related to a module that's called Save as Draft, I think, and all of the features it provides. But this one is sort of just the lowest hanging fruit. Just change the text on the button. Looks like we have a pull request for that one. Also needs review. Next on the list is the option for clarifying the help text around what state you want your content to be when it's published. So draft, published, or scheduled. And there is sort of another fix that goes along with that, which is cleaning up the CSS for checkboxes and radios, in particular their descriptions for individual items. So that one, 3122, is a text cleanup, but I think there's also going to be some CSS changes in there. Improvements, usability improvements in particular. The next issue is number 3193, and this one's a doozy. This, I think, Gregory, is one of yours. The concept of having promoted modules. These will appear both on backtopcms.org and on the module installer on your site. So when you go to search for a new module, if we have a preferred solution, that one would come at the top. It might even be different color. If the module is sort of coming soon, we could even have a little thing on it that's like, this one's scheduled for Backdrop Core. That might encourage people to use it earlier and give us more feedback on whether we think that we want to go that route or not, or what might need to be changed in order to get it in. In general, the idea is to make it easier for people to know which modules to choose. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of little pieces involved with this. We're going to need to update the feed that comes out of backtopcms.org. And I think as we learned recently, that feed is not a view currently. That feed is coming directly from project module. And so we might need to alter the query that project module is doing to account for promoted content, or we might need to replace that with a view. I don't know what our long-term plan is for project module, if there's going to be value to doing that. And then once we have that information in the feed, we need to account for it visually, maybe in the sort order, also with CSS, just some way to figure out how to get that information to people. And then if people are running a search, I don't know if we need to weight things any differently. So there's just some kind of thought about, let's just try something and see what it works and see if we need to adjust it. And eventually we should land on something. But right now we don't have any work all done on this yet, I think because it sounds scary and complicated. But I think if we could maybe turn this into a meta and itemize all of those individual things that can be done, every one of those little items would become less daunting and we'd be able to get some forward progress. Where we are right now, I think we have a checkbox on modules on backtopcms.org that allows us to make them recommended, but that's kind of it. That's the extent that we have done anything on this issue. So we need to figure out how to get that data into something useful. So that's all we have pulled out specifically for usability issues, specifically tagged for 1.12, which is our next release. But if you're interested in issues for 1.12, we have a milestone on GitHub that you can check out. If you are particularly interested in usability issues, you can search the queue for anything with capital U, capital X, and square brackets, and that will get you all of the usability issues we're working on for Backdrop. We do have a couple, or just one, I guess, design-related issue left in this meeting agenda to talk about, and that is the installer. So right now, when you go to install Backdrop CMS from your phone, the page is not adequately responsive. We have some designs in issue number 2873 that recommend approach for how to clean up the display of that page. We do not have a pull request yet for implementing the recommended design approach, although it does look fairly uncomplicated on the installer. We just need to make sure that the changes we make to the installer do not affect other pages on the site that are using the same theme functions to render their tables, which I think is the status report and maybe the available updates report as well.
I actually started working on that last weekend. So I saw maybe it was Opi's idea that maybe we should use divs and on desktop have them rendered as table cell so that they can be stacked or floated, which would make them on mobile be stacked on top of each other. I got fairly far enough, but then I got into CSS issues like when on desktop the rows, the div that were set to be table rows were not expanding the full width. Tried a couple of things. I did some research online, but I couldn't get it. Like I could use someone's help, like maybe Wes. I don't know if he's around. But what I might do is even incomplete, I might just file a pull request and leave the code there for someone else to pick up.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, well, thank you for working on that. It is likely to be a little tricky. So I think, yeah, if you can post it somewhere, that also something we could maybe tweet and be like, hey, are you a friend under? Help with this thing. And then we can get some more people involved. If we can give them a puzzle to solve, I think that might be good.
Yeah, sure.
So that's all we have for design issues right now. We are, of course, committed to making a better design product. So if anyone is using Backdrop and you see things that you think could be improved as far as design, we're always open to feedback. You can create an issue and you can tag it with audience-design. And if someone sees it and thinks it's important, we can add it to this agenda. Or if we're talking about things in this meeting and you think it's important, you can let us know. We can talk about it now. I don't have anything right now on my list that we're working on that's design related, but we are super focused on trying to make Backdrop a more appealing product to designers. And that means that it has to have a pretty slick design itself too. So we're always looking for ideas on how to make it better. Okay, so if we can switch gears a little bit from web design and talk about print design, we're also looking for a volunteer to make us a pop-up banner. And I don't mean a pop-up banner like something that comes on your website and interferes with your work. I mean like an actual physical real world thing that you put next to a table and then it like pops open and then there's a banner. So this is specifically for events. BADCamp is coming up. We are going to have a Backdrop Summit, a Backdrop training, and a couple of sessions. It would be fun if we could have a banner or some kind of printed physical thing so that we could indicate what Backdrop is, or at least where it is in the room. That might be fun. It does require someone to think about what needs to go on the banner, design it, and then we can have it printed. But if anyone is interested in working on that, it's something that we want to use not only at BADCamp, but at other events throughout the year where Backdrop has a presence. So making something reusable might be really fun to you. You could see it at various different places. If anyone knows anyone who needs some experience making print stuff because you're web people and you want to play with print, I don't know. We're definitely open to having a conversation with anyone who wants to work on that and see if we can get moving on it. It's something I think we talked about a year ago and then we forgot and put it back on because I was like, oh yeah, that would still be good to have one of those. So if you want us to work on it, we can do that. And that's the only thing I have on the list for print stuff that's urgent anyway. But if anyone has anything else you want to talk about at this meeting, now is the time. You can say hello. Oh, Tim, is your open source CMS conference this weekend? I don't know if Tim's there.
When is BADCamp?
BADCamp is October 22nd,
Oh, there's Tim.
I think.
He noted yes.
Yes, our open source CMS event is this weekend, on Saturday. It's not going to be too huge. We got about 30 people so far.
It's still pretty exciting.
Well, I'm excited about it.
So BADCamp, I got that wrong. The date is October 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. So it's in 2 weeks. So Tim's open source CMS event is this weekend, which is the 13th. Saturday the 13th? Yeah.
Yes, the
And
13th.
so that's for Drupal, Backdrop, WordPress, Joomla.
We have
anything
a
else?
we have a Joomla core committer in our local community. We didn't know.
Nice.
So he's going to be there, and a number of WordPress people, and yeah.
That's great.
We were planning for something to happen in Greece. I'm from a fairly small town, and they organized last December, I think, and we had Typo 3, Joomla, WordPress, and then me as well as guests, and we all presented. It was really good, actually. Not a big crowd, like maybe like as you said, 30 people. It's really good.
That's great.
I'm sorry. What event was that?
Sorry, it was in Greece. It was a small event in my hometown, so it was sort of like it was organized by WordPress guys.
Okay.
Actually, so they had regular events, but in that specific one, they invited people from other CMSs.
Nice.
And it was planned to happen while I was in Greece again, but it didn't. I guess everybody got lazy from Greek summer, and maybe this December again. We'll see. December 3 and 4 is going to be Drupal South in Canberra, in Australia. I was thinking to go there with a T-shirt that was saying I'm the backdrop guy. Come talk to me or something like that. But it's the first year that we are taking over from Acquia here, and almost everybody in my company is going. And this time we're going to have T-shirts. So damn, but yeah, we're going to have company T-shirts. That's what I meant. Maybe backdrop hat or something. I don't know.
There you go.
Let's see.
All right. Well, if no one has anything else to talk about, we will adjourn this meeting and meet again in about half an hour to talk about development tasks we're currently working on for Backdrop CMS. Let's see if we can spread the word about the Open Source CMS Summit there.
Okay.
All right. See you guys later. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks.